It's a mission she believes she was born for. Sherri Henderson, co-founder of Henderson Haven in Orange Park, has worked for decades to provide support and advocacy for children and adults with sometimes severe developmental disabilities. She joins us now as the organization celebrates its 20th year in Northeast Florida.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, Sherri. And to our listeners, what challenges have you faced in caring for a family member with special needs? And what resources would you like to see expanded? Give us a call at 549-2937. Send an email to firstcoastconnect@wjct.org or reach out to us on social media. Sherri, I want you to tell us about the mission of Henderson House and what it does. But first, how did you come to this work personally?
I've been around serving and caring for people all my life, but here in Florida, it really started when we moved here. Trying to access services in the school system and the community for Trey was really difficult. And after successfully advocating him for many years, other families started reaching out to us, asking us how we were accomplishing this. And so Henderson Haven was incorporated in 2003 as a nonprofit here in Northeast Florida. We've continued to serve families all across Northeast Florida since then, helping them find resources, access resources, find services, and providing many of those services to these families.
And so you mentioned Trey. Tell our listeners who Trey is.
Trey is our oldest son. He's 34 years old now, and he has Down syndrome.
And so your work began when you were still in Texas?
Yes.
Before
yes,
Trey was around?
Before Trey was born, I was helping at the Lubbock State School, which was a state institution that was mandated back in the late 80s to be closed. And we were helping access community resources for those people and moving people from the state institution into the community setting.
And so I would guess in some ways that may have prepared you for the challenges and the opportunities that came with Trey. But how did that affect you personally, and what surprises did you encounter?
With Trey, I was surprised at the lack of resources when we moved here to Florida, but it did prepare me knowing what his rights were, what he was entitled to, and what was possible if the right supports were around somebody. Going from really limited resources in a state institution and then opening up that world to helping transition people, because then after the state institution, I helped work in a group home with 6 young men who had never been in a community setting before. So helping them access that and knowing what the obstacles were helped prepare us when we moved here to know exactly what we needed to fight for Trey so that he could have an independent life.
And you say when you arrived in Florida, you were disappointed or surprised at the lack of services. What kind of services specifically were you looking for that you couldn't find?
It went from finding access to regular programming in the school system to finding a dentist that knew how to work with someone with special needs to the state Medicaid waivers program. We didn't know about it till we'd already been here 6 years, and then Trey was on the wait list for 12 years.
What does that provide for?
The Medicaid waiver provides services to help someone in their home with personal supports. If they're an adult, it can help with supported living coaching, so they help with third-party benefits, access to medical care, and it can also provide adult day training, transportation, just a big, wide variety of services. It also helps with those that need residential placement. And there are more than 20,000 people on the waiting list in Florida, many, many more thousands that don't even know it exists.
And so Henderson Haven, what does it offer? What does it entail? What is the opportunity there for people who have maybe need those services?
At the heart of what we do, we advocate no matter what service someone may access with us. But we also provide a before and after school program. We have a small private school. We have a small adult day program, as well as medical lending. If we get medical equipment given to us, we lend it and give it out right back out. We have our advocacy services, but we also provide supports out in the community, helping people with respite care or those other waiver-provided services with supported living and personal supports and things like that.
And so Trey has Down syndrome, but what other kinds of clients do you have, and what other issues do they perhaps have to deal with?
We have people with Down syndrome. We have those with cerebral palsy. We have many on different parts of the autism spectrum, and there's been just so many other disabilities that are smaller underlying, but those are the main ones that we support. What do they face? They face a difficulty accessing affordable housing, finding affordable care, transportation can be difficult, helping them access and have the accommodations they need at a job. So we often will connect them with vocational rehabilitation services in the area. So wherever they are and whatever their hopes and dreams are, their goals are, our job is to help them try to access the support they need to be successful, no matter where they are in life and where they live.
And so now you are celebrating 20 years. What are you doing now? What initiatives do you have in place, and how are you looking to expand?
20 years. It's crazy that it's been 20 years, and I'll probably keep trying to do it 20 more. But we are looking to purchase the building. We have our center-based services in Clay County. We're trying to purchase that building, so we're started a capital campaign to make that a reality, and in doing so, be able to expand more classrooms for both the adult and the children programs, and be able to continue our summer programming that we offer, spaces for more therapies to happen, and on top of all of that, we want to make it a hurricane shelter for those with severe sensory needs that can't really access other disaster shelters in time of need.
And we don't have time to get to all of it, but you have published a couple of books that are really helpful for people, including Trey's current diagnosis, which is dementia in addition to his Down syndrome.
Yes, Trey was diagnosed with early onset at 29 because of some complications with his hydrocephalus. Nothing existed, so I wrote picture memories to help him understand what was going on.
Well, I've been speaking with Sherri Henderson, co-founder of Henderson Haven. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.